Hello, and you are very welcome back to Davinci Resolve. What was going on with my eye there? A to Z, your one stop for all things Davinci Resolve. And in today's episode, we take an in-depth look at the hue versus saturation curve. Hue versus saturation, another super powerful tool inside of Resolve. And it's one of those types of tools that once you have learned how to use it and what it does, you'll go, A, there's a million times I could have used that in the past, and B, I'm going to be ending up using that a lot in the future because it's super powerful, super easy, and super quick to use. So let's get into it. Alt S for a new node, and if you click on the drop down here, you can switch between any of the types of curves. So we'll select hue versus saturation. You can also select through them with these dots here, and hue versus saturation is the third dot in. So hue versus saturation is selected. And we've also switched from our waveform over to our vector scope so that we can look at saturation levels. As with any of these versus curves, what it actually means is the first item is what you are selecting, and then the second one is how you are adjusting it and what value you are adjusting. So in this case, hue versus saturation, we are selecting a certain hue or a certain color, and we're adjusting the level of saturation of that hue or color. So what does that mean in a shot like this? Well, let's say, for example, I want to select a yellow, and we'll just create some boundaries around it. We can increase or decrease the levels of saturation in the yellow values, or I could come more towards green, or I could come more towards the red end, or I could include more red values and less green values, etc. But adding the points on here has a certain level of inaccuracy to it, just by the nature of you're just picking somewhat randomly. So you can get more precise about this. So for example, we want to adjust the saturation level of the sky here. Well, making sure I have my qualifier tool selected, we can click on the sky and we get our middle point is the selected hue, and then we get two placeholders either side of it. And we can increase or decrease the level of saturation of the selected point, which for us, we want it to be the middle point. And you can see the increase and decrease of saturation in two ways. One, looking at the image, looking at this part of the image here, your sky, increase and decrease the level of saturation. And you can also see that reflected in the scopes. Here is our little tiny patch of blue sky on the scope. You see that increase in saturation, and you can see a decrease in saturation. So for the sake of tutorial, we'll crank it way up full, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll go Control D, and you can see that adjustment being switched on and off. The only other bit of information you may need to know is, say for example, and we'll have to use our imagination here a little bit, the sky had a bit of a gradient in it. Let's look at these placeholders. The only shades of blue getting adjusted by that level of saturation are sitting between those two placeholders. So there's a lot of shades of blue as we start to slip into greens, and a lot of shades of these primary blues before we slip into purple not getting adjusted. Now in this particular example, that's fine. But if you had a gradient in the sky and you had more primary colors, what you may need to do is select this point and start moving it. And what that means is now the point was, say, around here. Now all these shades of blue are also getting included in that adjustment and starting to ramp up towards that level of saturation. So depending on the shot, you may need to tweak those placeholders to make sure that all the shades of blue you need in your shot are getting involved in the adjustment. So we'll leave it at that. Control D, on and off. You can see the adjustment it's making. That's hue versus saturation, another super powerful curve and tool inside of Davinci Resolve that you're probably going to end up using a lot, because I know that once I learned what it did, I had 1,000,001 uses for it. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Did I miss something that should have been covered in this tutorial? Let me know in the comment section below so I know to cover it in a future upload. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. My name is Lee Dalton. This is Davinci Resolve A to Z. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.